Thank you for jumping on here with me. I am so excited to be on here with you. We are going to be into trail levels. So excited about that. So we're going to be jumping into trail levels, a breakdown and explanation. I'm going to try to keep this quick, but I've had a lot of questions come up, and that's why I really wanted to dive into this with you today. So I want to jump right in and get started with our trail levels. So this is going to be a quick breakdown and explanation. When we're talking about trail levels, I want to start with if you show up at an off-road park, if you're going to be going trail riding, most parks are set up depending on how their levels go. They have green or easy or a single diamond, and that is going to be the lowest level at that park. Keep in mind, even within these sections, as we were talking about them, there's going to be the lower level, green or easy or single diamond, and then they're going to work up, and there's still going to be a higher level of these easy trails. I think of these easy trails like your green, your easy, your single diamond as your beginner trails. So if you're just going trail riding, just starting off-road with your Jeep, or you have a Jeep that is not modified yet, this is where you're looking at. This is kind of your foundation here, the easiest trails you are going to find. And I'm going to jump in a little bit, just a couple minutes, about how that does vary. But for most parks, they're going to have a system on how they rank things. It could be a number, so it could be a 1 is the easier trails. It could be green. They could be marked easy. It could be a single diamond. When you get somewhere and you're going to be going trail riding, really take the time to understand how they have set up their classifications for their trails. Understand their maps. We talked about this in one of our other classes, always ask questions. So if there's an office where you go in and register and pay your fees for the weekend, ask them, like, what lower level ones or greens, what do those trails consist of? Are they absolutely stock friendly with a beginner driver? Are there trails that are easier even within that spectrum? Do your homework a little bit, ask questions so that you know. Then your next step up, again, depending on the park or the national forest, wherever you're riding, you would have blue would be the next step up, or intermediate, or 2 diamonds, or the number 2. Those are going to be your next level up. I call those 201 trails. The lower end of that next level is going to be your 201. And again, remember, there's going to be harder trails even within this classification. This classification here, I recommend you have had some trail time, you've driven on trails, even if you have a big Jeep, even if you have a Jeep that's been modified, even if you have a Jeep that's got lift and tires, I'm a big foundation building block person. Start and get comfortable at the easier level trails, and then start to work your way up. If you just jump to harder trails, you may have not trained your eye already, especially if you're just getting started, you're newer to taking your Jeep off-road. What does that mean when I say train your eye? It means you're not able to see the easiest line when you see a trail and terrain out in front of you. I always recommend, doesn't matter how big your Jeep is, start at the beginning, work your way through that level before you move up. So at this second level, the lower level, the easier trails at this level are going to be like your 201, that next step up. You've been trail riding, you're confident on the easier trails, you're ready to move up. Then the higher end, the hard trails on that are going to be your intermediate, because even within this classification, there's a variance there. Those trails are going to vary. Some of your blues or your 2s are going to have maybe 1 obstacle or 2, fairly easy. Then you might get to 1 where there's 10, and it's a lot harder, but it's still in that same spectrum. Again, ask questions, do your homework a little bit, do some research, and know which trails you want to be going to. Then you have your black or red or triple diamond or advanced, or I know some parks, depending on how the numbers go, this is going to be your higher numbers. These are going to be your advanced trails. The lower level, the easier of this would be, your higher level intermediate. And then these are going to be advanced. A lot of places that you're going to go trail ride are going to require safety equipment. I did a quick video on this for you ladies, but a lot of the parks will actually have safety specifications that you need to meet before you go on the triple diamond, the hard level advanced trails. This is for your safety as well as for the park itself. So make sure you kind of understand these different levels. And again, there's going to be easier level or trails and harder trails even within these levels. So I wanted to kind of break this out for you. Most parks have 3 levels. Some of the amazing parks will actually rank like 1 to 7, so that it's a 1, which is going to meet these specifications, a 2, a 3, a 4, and they're going to progressively get harder. I love those parks. They make it so much easier to know which trails to go on, with what Jeeps, with what experience. A lot of the off-road parks, places you're going to go ride, are only going to have 3 levels. So just keep that in mind when you're looking through the classifications. Some parks as well jump. There might be a big jump from their level 1 or green to their level 2 in blue. There may be a big gap in between there as to what obstacles you're going to encounter and the difficulty of those trails. So again, keep that in mind. Not all parks are the same. When somebody is going through and making these classifications, I go through this when I'm setting up our events. My idea of a 101 beginner stock friendly trail is not always the same as even the person at the parks who are marking the trails. So make sure that you know and understand specifically what you are looking for when you are getting ready to go out and trail ride. Here's where it gets a little tricky. And I know I've explained this to some of you amazing ladies before. Where you are in the country also plays a part in the levels. I know that can get even trickier. If you ride in kind of like your area, your neck of the woods, or whatever's kind of home for you, you will get a good understanding of what the level of trails, the terrain type that you are riding on. Like, for example, here in Georgia, if we go up to Tennessee, which is where we go primarily if we're going to do local riding, weather plays a huge part because of our terrain. So we have red clay. If it rains, those trails and that terrain change quickly and drastically. That's something we have learned. We've had to learn to understand. I always tell everyone, Tennessee, if you are out trail riding, if it rains, those levels jump. So a green trail is now a blue trail is now a black trail. I call them the red, black, double diamonds of death, depending on the weather. So just remember, different parts of the country, just based on the soil, the terrain, if it is wet, if it is dry, those levels are going to be different. So like, for example, a 101 trail in Florida is going to be a lot of sand. Sometimes it's deep sand, but that is what the local terrain is. Now, there are some off-road parks down there that have man-made obstacles in them, but when you start talking about the actual landscape and terrain of the state that you are riding in, that is going to be dictated by what is native to that area. So like, say when we go up to Pennsylvania to Roush, which we're going to be there soon, I'm so excited. There's a lot of rock. It's black soil because they do mining up there, so it's high in minerals. So you're going to notice there's a lot of incline changes. There's a lot of rock size changes, but the soil itself there is different even when it's wet. Again, it's understanding different parts of the country. This is a picture from Moab. We just got back. Oh my God, it was amazing. Ladies, holy moly, Lady Jeepers will be back there. Just the sheer magnitude of the beauty are out there, to me, is worth the entire trip and going there. The trails that had the beautiful scenery, the rocks, the arches, the caves, to me, those were absolutely incredible because those are things we don't find or see anywhere else. when we're going around the country. But so, for example, we were there in the dry season. It was very hot, which meant we had a lot of traction based on how porous the rock is there. In some parts, it really felt like driving on an asphalt road, and you could see tire tread marks, just like you would see on a road. So it was very different because even though the levels of the trails, they were incredibly laid out, the high level trails out there in comparison to somewhere else in the country was different. I'm not saying one's better, one's harder, one's easier, nothing like that. It's just different. So you have to understand that. So, for example, if you went out to Moab and ran one of their red trails, which is the harder level, they do them by numbers too, which is great. So if you went and did one of their hard trails, you might be like, oh man, that was awesome. I felt like it was pretty easy to climb. Then you might go back home and try to get on a hard trail and have a hard time. So please just remember, every area of the country is going to be different when we're talking about those levels, because it's going to depend on what type of terrain you're on. You know, what size rocks, what are the ledges like, what is the traction like, what is the soil like? All those things play a part into it when we talk about trail levels. And then I want to jump into, how does that play into the ladyjeepers.com events? I've had great questions come in. I've seen questions in the group. So I want to make sure everyone has a great understanding of our different levels for our different events as well. Our Getting Started 101 events. How we kind of have taken the trail levels and created a building block system to slowly and safely bring you through the levels. When I say that, when I think of a 101 getting started, stock and beginner friendly, you've never taken your Jeep off road before, this might be the first time. You might not have used your 4-wheel drive yet. Your Jeep may be completely bone stock. That is what the 101 getting started trails are that I look at for our events. I would much rather someone go home and say, you know, I wish we would have done a little bit harder trails, than someone to go home and be like, that was way too much for me. I damaged my Jeep and I don't ever want to go on a trail again. So important to me that you build confidence a step at a time. I always think of everything as, you know, those building blocks. You have to get that foundation set, and then you can build up, and then you can build up, and then you can build up. And if you take your time and go slowly and really start to understand, get confident, build your skills at that level, and then move up, it is amazing to see, ladies. We got to experience it at the Moab event. It made me so happy because we had ladies who came to the Moab event who had been to other events with us, and to see the transformation, the skills, the knowledge of their Jeep, picking a line, throttle control, precision, tire placement, all those things was phenomenal. To see this growth, this confidence, that is what's important to me. When we're talking about the 101 getting started events for ladyjeepers.com, they are stock friendly, beginner friendly. That means my goal is that you are going to build your confidence, your skills, your comfort behind the wheel, but know that you are in a safe environment, that we're not going to put you in a situation that we're going to push you too hard, too fast, or where you're going to be at a high risk for damage to your vehicle. Because let's face it, ladies, my purple Jeep, the one in the back in this picture, is my daily driver as well. I paid for her. She is mine. I love her. I don't want anything to happen to her. So I understand 100% completely, especially as you're just starting out, getting started, building that experience and those skills. You want to know that you are not going to damage, ruin, not be able to drive your Jeep to work, home, different things like that. So this is a great example. When I said 101 trails, to me, you can see there's some rocks off to the side in this picture, but that main trail that we are driving on, you can see almost looks kind of like an asphalt road with some bumps in it. You still have to learn tire placement, how to navigate. Say I'm mounting a rock with your tire, protecting your diff, all those foundation things, but in a way that as you're learning, mistakes aren't going to cost you greatly. So what do you need if you were going to come to a ladyjeepers.com 101 event? You and your Jeep, and that is it. You don't need to have equipment yet. You don't need to have recovery gear. You don't have to have a winch. You don't have to have upgrades. You can be you and your Jeep. That is it. Sometimes I actually recommend that if you have not already kind of started to jump in to do upgrades to your Jeep, to buy the equipment for your Jeep, to wait, because we supply all of that and we go through everything hands on. So you get to actually use like the different air down tools. You get to see different brands of recovery equipment. And then you can go home and decide like, hey, I really liked this, didn't really like this. Hey, this is the exact tool that I need for my Jeep to disconnect my sway bars. I need the 18 millimeter. I'm just going to go buy those. I need the 19. I'm just going to go buy those. You really start to know that you need so that you're buying the correct things for you and for your Jeep. Requirements for ladyjeepers.com at a 101 getting started event is you, your Jeep, smile, and excitement to be out there to learn and to get that hands-on education. That's all you need. Then we move up to 201. I call this practice makes perfect. So to me, this is that next step and step in your building block progression. This means you have been driving off-road, you've done trails, you are confident at the 101 level, kind of the getting started trails. You have an understanding of the 101 principles and concepts. What does that mean? That means you've either been to a 101 event or you've gone through our Ladies Jeeping in a Weekend 101 course, which is the same thing that we go through at our events. Of course, we are limited in 3 days. I can't go through everything because there's so much to share. So there is more inside the courses, but you are getting those foundation pieces. We also have a minimum 33-inch tire requirement for our 201. Reason being, we're moving up on the trail level. I always want everyone to be able to drive their Jeep home. They've had a great experience, love every minute. Sometimes you're pushed a little bit, but you know you're safe and you're not damaging your Jeep. Those are the most important things. That is where these minimum requirements have come in, so that as I am picking trails, different places we're going for these events, I know that a Jeep on 33-inch tires can do the trails that we're going to be doing and do it safely. Does that mean if you have a bigger Jeep, you don't want to attend a 201? That's up to you. If you are still learning, you want to be building your skills, kind of going to that next building block with tire placement, understanding, mounting rocks, understanding seeing lines, getting more of the educational pieces as well with changing a tire, going through changing a tire on the trail, towing, different recovery, things like that, then by all means, there is no tire size max for this. We have had some great events with different types of Jeeps as far as builds, where everyone goes out and everyone learns. So something to keep in mind as well. There, you do need to have some trail experience for the 201 as well. Now we've kind of talked about, we have the Confident Trail system. It is a ladyjeepers.com signature system, and it is that building block. We have 101 getting started. We have practice makes perfect 201. Then we move up to tune your skills with our intermediate level. As of right now, ladies, we are doing only one intermediate event a year. We are hoping to be growing and expanding, especially as you amazing ladies have been moving up through the levels with us. So as soon as I have enough people who are interested, we will add another intermediate event so that we'll have 2 a year, and then hopefully we can keep building on that as well. All right, so with tune your skills, what do you need for the intermediate event? There is a minimum of a 35-inch tire. You need aftermarket differential covers, skids, and rock sliders. When we're talking about rock sliders, as long as you understand if you have aftermarket steps, depending on what you purchase, steps and rock sliders are different. Steps do not always hold up, especially when we're talking about intermediate events, because a lot of times with the intermediate events, your rock slider, if you think about it, is built to be able to hold the weight of your Jeep on that rock slider off of the rock without it crumbling. We put that to the test at the intermediate event. I will say sometimes steps or like rock sliders that are not made from as high a quality material may sustain some damage at the intermediate level. As far as everything else, that's why I require aftermarket diff covers and skids. Those are your highest risk when we're talking about this intermediate level for damage. And again, even at the intermediate level, I want you ladies to be building, tuning those skills, trying harder lines, harder trails, working on seeing where you need to be, where you need to put your Jeep, how to drive and negotiate different lines. But I also want you to do it safely with the lowest risk possible of damage to your Jeep, which is why there's a 35-inch tire minimum requirement. Also, a winch and recovery gear is required. I also ask that you have an understanding of the 101 and 201 principles and concepts that we teach at our 101 Getting Started and our 201 Practice Makes Perfect. Again, all of that is available online in our members area and as individual courses. If you want to go through that so that you really have a great grasp of everything we're teaching, everything we go through at the different events. With our intermediate, you do need to have trail riding experience. And when you submit your registration, it is an application. So there are questions I go through. I look at every single application and registration that comes in for this event to make sure that it is going to be a great fit. Our intermediate events have a lot more trail riding because it's an intermediate event. Our 101, we are doing a full day of hands-on learning and training on Friday because those are those principles that are so important that you know and you understand before you go out on a trail ride. We do a half a day of training on Saturday, half a trail ride on Saturday, and then a full trail ride on Sunday. So that my goal for 101 is when you leave, you can go to a different event, a different trail ride, and you're going to know exactly what you need to do for you, have a great grasp of everything, and know how to keep you and your Jeep safe. 201, when we move up, it's a full day of training on Friday. It is a quick training on Saturday morning. Then we go out for trail riding the rest of the day Saturday. Sunday is trail riding. With these intermediate events, we do a quick brief overview Friday morning, and then it's straight to trail riding all day Friday, all day Saturday, hopefully all day Sunday. I know the trail that we do for an intermediate event can be a lot as far as it will wear you out with those full days in there. But so those are some of the differences. I go through those applications. I make sure this is going to be a great fit for you so that you can enjoy that time as you're building your skills and keep your Jeep safe at the same time. I'm excited to announce I've only ever had a couple ladies. So I'm hoping again, as everyone starts moving through the levels with us, if anyone gets to this point, please reach out to me. I've started a waiting list. I have 2 so far for our intermediate to advanced. This is by application only. When we're talking about intermediate to advanced, we are talking about how I talked about those 3 trail levels. This is going to be that higher level of trail. With that, though, I have a lot of safety stipulations because keeping you safe is the most important thing, especially as we start talking about the more advanced trails where likelihood of damage really do increase, especially based on what part of the country we are doing these rides in. What do you need to qualify for an intermediate to advanced trail ride? It is a minimum of a 37-inch tire. You need all the intermediate requirements. So that is aftermarket differential cover, skids, rock sliders, winch, and recovery gear. Plus, You need a front and rear locker. You need truss or aftermarket axles. You must have, this is non-negotiable, an aftermarket roll cage, aftermarket seats. They can be racing seats or they can just be an aftermarket low profile seat that will accept harnesses. And you have to have aftermarket harnesses. I also asked for aftermarket drive shafts and upgraded or aftermarket steering. This is a long list, but when we start talking about putting our Jeeps on the hardest trails out there and moving up to that hard level, those are some of the things that you need to be able to take some of the load and stress off of your Jeep to lessen the chance of breakage, to lessen the chance of something going wrong. These are the most common things that will break, but then also the common things that you absolutely have to keep. Because again, some of the parks that you go to require roll cages and harnesses the higher level, and that is their stipulations as well. To be able to qualify, you need to have trail riding experience, and this is an application only. Please remember, body damage is highly possible. So this is kind of that higher level. If you are ever interested in this, all you have to do is shoot an email, custserve@ladyjeepers.com. I can add you to our waiting list as well. I would love to get to the point where we could do an intermediate 2 or advanced, but I have to tell you, ladies, I absolutely love all the levels. I have probably just as much fun and enjoy the Getting Started 101 events and trails and trail rides, sometimes more than some of those advanced or intermediate 2 trails. I just love being behind the wheel. I love being out there, spending time with my Jeep and spending time with you amazing ladies. I absolutely love every single level. I have an amazing time with you ladies, and I just can't wait to see you at our next event. So I just wanted to go through this since I saw so many questions coming in, so many questions about what do I need? What do I have to have? What are the different levels? And I'm hoping this helps you. And again, you're going to see me jumping on more and more live, going through some of this with you amazing ladies as well. My biggest goal is to create confidence by building skills, knowledge, education, and hands-on time with a building block systematic approach, all in a safe and empowering environment with help every step of the way. If you are new to ladyjeepers.com, you don't necessarily know everything about me, I'll share a little bit. I was a personal growth and development facilitator for years. I did women's retreats, and I like to incorporate some of that into what we do with our Jeep. So these are Jeep education weekends. They are focused on the things you need to know, hands-on, so you can do it yourself. But when I say a safe and empowering environment, ladies, that is one of the most important things to me. Whether you are outgoing, whether you're shy, whether, you don't like to be in groups of people, if that's out of your comfort zone, I want to share with you, for a very long time, that was out of my comfort zone. And I have to tell you that has been one of the biggest and most positive impacts and transformations in my life, is the excitement that I now have as we are building closer to an event. When you ladies arrive, to me, this is giving me this community and this empowerment and support with all of us together. So if you are watching this and you have been thinking like, I would love to do this, but I'm so uncomfortable, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't like to talk to people. I'm kind of shy. I can only spend so much time around people and then I need a break. Please know that is absolutely what this program is for, and it's for you. I promise, when you come to one of our events, I know it can feel terrible as you're driving there, anxiety, worry, again, putting yourself out there, but please know that this community and support within each other is so important to me and the foundation of everything for ladyjeepers.com. Promise you, putting yourself out there, jumping out there, taking that step, doing this for yourself will be life-changing. the friendships that are made, the support, just this environment, ladies. Yes, we are empowering ourselves, building skills, knowledge, being able to do things with our Jeep that maybe we never thought possible. But there is something so deep rooted about what that does for us and how that can transform and shift ourselves and give us this community of like minded ladies who we know is there for us. We are there together, and it is amazing to see that not only at the events, but to continue forward afterwards. Our events, I want to thank you because you have been one of those amazing, supportive ladies who's been there for each other. And that means the world to me. So thank you for that. If you have any questions about any of our upcoming events, all you need to do is jump over to ladyjeepers.com, click upcoming events. If you have specific questions, concerns, anything like that, you can email us directly. custserve@ladyjeepers.com, custserv@ladyjeepers.com. I would love to see you at one of our upcoming events. Our 2021 calendar, we still have some events coming up for this year. And then our 2022 calendar will be out in November. We have some new stops along the way that I'm so excited about adding in there. Every year we're trying to get to new and different states, get back to different places that worked amazingly for us and with ladyjeepers.com. So every year I'm trying to expand and do a little more and a little more. So I'm excited for some of the new things we have coming up for 2022. And of course, we have added in our extravaganza events 2021. This was our first year doing those. We already have our March 2022 dates for the spring extravaganza. I am so excited about that. These extravaganzas are something totally different and amazing. And I will be jumping on and doing some live videos as we're getting a little bit closer with detailed information because they're a little different than these smaller events that we do. So keep an eye out. I'm going to be jumping on live a lot more. Hopefully spending some more time with you ladies here online, getting to hang out. I will see you soon. Thank you, ladies. Bye.